There comes a moment in every life when the world becomes louder than our own heartbeat. When the noise of expectations, disappointments, and responsibilities rises until we forget the sound of our own spirit. Yet, even in that storm, even in that heaviness, there is a hidden room waiting for us, a quiet place carved not by luck but by choice. And the key to that room is so small that most people walk past it every single day. 1 hour, just 1 hour a day. Most people treat it like dust on the windowsill. But I am here to tell you that 1 hour has the strength to change your life forever. Because 1 hour is not time. 1 hour is truth. 1 hour is courage. 1 hour is the moment you stop running from yourself and start returning to yourself. Imagine this. The world sleeps. The world scrolls. The world complains. But you rise. You choose. You take 60 minutes and place them like a sacred offering in your hands. And in those minutes, you decide to build something no one can steal. Discipline, vision, healing power. You become the sculptor of the future you once believed belonged only to the lucky ones. Some people will tell you that an hour is nothing. They will say you need huge leaps, giant moments, dramatic change. But listen closely. Earthquakes shake the planet, but it is the tiny, patient roots underground that hold the mountains in place. It is the steady heartbeat that keeps a life moving. It is the daily breath that keeps a soul alive. Greatness has always belonged to those who do a small thing with great devotion, again and again, until the world has no choice but to notice. 1 hour a day becomes a promise whispered into your own bones. A promise that says, I am worthy of time. I am worthy of growth. I am worthy of becoming someone my future will thank me for. And when you honor that promise, you begin to feel the shift. The ground beneath you changes. The wind around you changes. Something inside you wakes up and says, this is who we were meant to be all along. Give 1 hour to learning, and you outgrow the version of yourself who stayed silent. Give 1 hour to your craft, and the world will one day hear your footsteps. Give 1 hour to healing, and suddenly the wounds that once controlled you lose their power. Give 1 hour to discipline and the universe opens doors you never dared to knock on. The beauty is not in the hour itself, but in what it begins. Because the first hour plants the seed, the second nourishes it, the third strengthens the soil. And before you realize it, your life begins to bloom in places that were once barren. People will look at you and say it happened overnight. They will think you found luck or favor or magic. Let them think that. Only you will know the truth. Your magic was 1 quiet hour done loudly in the language of consistency. And I tell you this with all the conviction I can hold. When you give the world your excuses, it gives you the same life you have always lived. But when you give it 1 committed hour each day, it bends. It shifts. It listens. It moves out of your way. Because destiny respects the ones who respect their own time. There is a fire inside you waiting to be fed, not by a miracle, not by approval, not by applause, but by 1 hour of devotion each day to the person you are still becoming. 1 hour can rewrite chapters you once thought were permanent. 1 hour can return dignity to dreams that were left behind. 1 hour can break the chains of who others said you had to be. So take this hour and treat it like gold. Guard it like a treasure. Protect it like the last light in a dark room. Let it be the place where you rise when the world expects you to remain still. Let it be the moment where your future self steps closer and whispers with pride, keep going. I am waiting for you. Remember this. 1 hour a day will not just change your habits. It will not just change your mindset. It will not just change your routines. 1 hour a day will change your life forever because it changes you. And once you change, everything around you has no choice but to follow. If you are ready to transform, you do not need a lifetime. You do not need a miracle. You do not need perfect circumstances. You only need 1 sacred hour a day and the courage to honor it. Your future is counting on you. Your destiny is calling you. Your greatness is waiting for you. And everything begins with the next 60 minutes you choose to claim. There comes a moment in every person's life when they stand in front of a quiet mirror, not the one hanging on the wall, but the mirror inside themselves, and suddenly they see a truth they can no longer ignore. The truth of who they are becoming versus who they pretend to be. And this truth does not arrive in a thunderbolt. It does not come with fireworks or applause. It arrives in silence. It arrives in the little choices you make when no one is watching. It arrives in that single hour you either give to yourself or steal from yourself. 1 hour reveals everything. It shows you whether you are loyal to your excuses or loyal to your future. It shows you whether you are committed to growth or committed to comfort. It shows you whether you are building yourself or abandoning yourself. 1 hour a day strips away the illusions you use to convince the world that you are fine, that you are strong, that you are on the right path, even when deep inside you feel lost or unprepared. That hour exposes the truth. And the truth, even when uncomfortable, is always the beginning of a new life. Imagine a person sitting alone at the edge of their bed early in the morning. The world is still asleep. The air is still heavy with yesterday's stories. Their mind is full of doubts. Should I get up or rest a little more? Should I work on myself or wait until tomorrow? Should I chase the dream or keep pretending that it will simply find me one day? In that moment, they are not choosing between sleep and effort. They are choosing between who they are becoming and who they pretend to be. Pretending is easy. Pretending is comforting. Pretending allows you to blame the world, the timing, the circumstances. But 1 hour of real devotion is different. 1 hour makes you accountable. 1 hour makes you responsible. 1 hour forces you to meet your own reflection without filters and without excuses. And that is where change begins. In that hour, you learn that discipline is not a punishment. It is a form of self-respect. You learn that consistency is not boring. It is the rhythm that destiny listens to. You learn that growth does not happen in giant leaps, but in tiny choices repeated with quiet courage. That hour becomes the place where the real version of you starts to take shape. Most people live their whole life wearing a mask. They smile when they feel empty. They pretend to be strong when they are breaking. They act confident when they are scared. But the moment you start dedicating 1 sacred hour a day to becoming better, the mask begins to fall. You no longer hide behind the idea of who you might be. You begin to walk toward who you were always meant to be. 1 hour reading a book that expands your mind shows you the difference between pretending to be intelligent and becoming intelligent. 1 hour writing your goals shows you the difference between pretending you have a plan and actually directing your life. 1 hour practicing your craft shows you the difference between pretending you have talent and sharpening your gift until it becomes undeniable. 1 hour healing your wounds shows you the difference between pretending you are fine and finally allowing yourself to grow stronger than the pain that once defined you. The interesting thing is that the world will not notice your first hour. The world will not celebrate your second, your 10th, or even your 100th. They will still see you as the person you used to be. But deep inside, you will feel the shift long before they do. You will feel your thoughts changing. You will feel your energy rising. You will feel your confidence growing. And your soul will whisper quietly, "This is who we truly are." There is a certain beauty in doing something for yourself in private. It teaches you that your worth is not measured by applause, but by alignment. It teaches you that your transformation does not need witnesses to be real. It teaches you that becoming someone better is not an event. It is a daily conversation with your own spirit. It is a steady walk into your own power. In those 60 minutes, the noisy world fades away and you hear yourself clearly, your desires, your fears, your dreams, your truth. You discover which thoughts are yours and which ones were forced onto you by people who never understood your calling. You discover the strength you forgot you had. You discover the version of yourself that you abandoned to fit into places you were never meant to shrink for. Every day when you give yourself that hour, something magical happens. You stop pretending. You stop performing. You stop living for approval. And you start living in alignment. You start choosing authenticity over appearance. You start choosing purpose over pressure. You start choosing growth over stagnation. You start choosing the truth of who you are becoming, even when it scares you, even when the world doubts you, even when the journey feels long. 1 hour a day becomes the line that separates the life you have from the life you desire. It becomes the difference between staying asleep and waking up to your own potential. It becomes the quiet promise that no matter how chaotic the world becomes, you will not abandon yourself again. People will ask you how you changed. They will ask how you gained confidence, how you became so focused, how you rose from everything that once broke you. They will expect a dramatic story, a moment of luck, a sudden breakthrough. But you will smile gently because you will know the truth. You did not change in one day. You changed because every day you chose 1 hour to meet the real you. And that hour rebuilt your entire life from the inside out. There is a place inside each of us where pain lives quietly, where the scars of yesterday whisper that we are not enough, that we are too broken, that our dreams are too far out of reach. Pain does not always shout. It often sits in the corners of our minds, a silent companion that colors the way we see the world, the way we speak to ourselves, the way we believe in possibility. And yet what most people do not understand is that pain is not the enemy. Pain is the doorway. Pain is the signpost pointing toward the power we have forgotten we carry. But this doorway is hidden, and most people never take the time to walk through it. That is why 1 hour a day matters. 1 hour becomes the bridge between the weight of what has hurt us and the wings of who we are meant to be. Imagine a person sitting alone, shoulders heavy, heart bruised, mind replaying the same old conversations, the same old failures. Perhaps it is loss, betrayal, regret, or fear, whatever the shape of the pain. It has a voice, a rhythm, a persistence that makes it feel permanent. But if that person chooses to dedicate just 1 hour to themselves, just 1 hour to look directly at the wounds without flinching, without distraction, something extraordinary begins to happen. That hour transforms. It turns the weight into fuel. It turns the ache into energy. It turns the hesitation into courage. That hour becomes a bridge that spans the chasm between what has held them back and what is waiting on the other side. During that hour, the person may cry. They may stumble. They may question everything they thought they knew about themselves. And that is the point. That is the fire. That is the process by which the pain is no longer a chain around the ankles, but a teacher at the shoulder. Because it is in that hour, when the world has stopped asking for performance, when no one is watching, that the soul begins to speak its truth. And the truth is always more powerful than the fear that once tried to define you. 1 hour spent facing your pain is also 1 hour spent discovering your power. You see, power is not about control over others. Power is not measured by wealth or recognition or applause. Power is the quiet strength that rises when you look at the pieces of your life that once shattered you and say, "I will rise anyway." Power is the voice that whispers, even in the middle of doubt, that I am stronger than this moment. Power is the patience to build yourself one small choice at a time, the courage to step onto the bridge even when it trembles under your feet. And 1 hour is all it takes to begin walking it. Most people avoid this bridge. They fill their time with noise, distractions, endless errands, social media, television, and meaningless chatter because they are afraid of what they will find on the other side of their pain. They are afraid that looking at the hurt means admitting defeat, that acknowledging their wounds will make them weak. But it is exactly the opposite. Facing your pain with intention, even for just 60 minutes, makes you invincible in ways the world cannot measure. It transforms sorrow into strategy, regret into resolve, heartbreak into the fuel for a better tomorrow. During that hour, you may choose to reflect, to journal, to meditate, to move, or to create. Whatever you choose, it must be an act of confrontation and reclamation. Confrontation with the past that still lingers, reclamation of the strength that has been dormant. And with each passing day, the bridge grows sturdier. Each hour is a plank, a beam, a rope, a nail connecting the fear-filled present to the possibility-filled future. By the time you look up, you realize you are no longer at the mercy of yesterday. You are standing on a bridge you built with your own hands, strong enough to carry you across the river that once seemed uncrossable. Pain has a way of convincing us that we are smaller than we are, that our dreams are too big, that our failures define us, that the world will never notice our worth. But 1 hour of focused effort each day says the opposite. 1 hour says that you refuse to be smaller, that you will not be ruled by what hurt you, that your dreams are alive because you are alive. 1 hour is not just time, it is a declaration. It is a bold, unshakable statement to the universe that you will rise, that you will persist, that you will claim the life that was waiting for you all along. And the transformation does not stay confined to that hour. The strength, the clarity, the courage, the focus, it spills into every moment that follows. The pain that once held you down no longer has dominion over your choices. Your mind, once a battlefield, becomes a sanctuary. Your heart, once burdened, becomes a compass pointing toward your potential. And your spirit, once quieted by fear, begins to sing a song so powerful that even the universe listens. 1 hour each day has become more than a habit. It has become a revolution within yourself. There will be days when the hour feels impossible, when the world yells louder than your soul, when doubt claws at you, telling you it is too late, that you are too tired, that the pain is too much. But it is on those days when the hour is hardest to take that it matters most. Because the bridge is strongest where it was built under pressure. Because power is forged in resistance. Because the person you are becoming waits for you on the other side of discomfort. And so the secret is not in time. The secret is not in technique. The secret is in consistency. The secret is in choosing every single day to take that 1 hour and walk across the bridge that connects your pain to your power. There is no magic pill. There is no lucky break. There is only 1 hour, 60 minutes, a single gift you give to yourself every day. And that hour has the power to turn scars into stories, weakness into resilience, sorrow into a strength that can never be taken away. Remember, the person who crosses this bridge is not someone born fearless. They are someone who looked at their own suffering and refused to let it control them. They are someone who took the quiet time, the hidden hour, and built a path that the world could not ignore. They are someone who understood that pain is not a prison but a portal. And that is how 1 hour a day becomes more than a habit. It becomes the key to unlocking the power that has been inside you all along. There is a truth the world rarely whispers, but every soul instinctively feels destiny is not a gift. It is a garden, and the seeds of that garden are planted in the choices we make, the minutes we claim, the moments we refuse to waste. And among all the hours we possess, there is one, the sacred hour we dedicate to ourselves, that has the power to bend the trajectory of our lives in ways we cannot yet imagine. 1 hour is not small. 1 hour is not ordinary. 1 hour is a seed that, when planted with intention and watered with devotion, grows into a force that reshapes the soil of our existence and carries us toward the dreams that once seemed impossible. Imagine a person waking before dawn, the world still wrapped in sleep, the streets quiet, the sky a canvas of possibility. In that stillness, they decide to take an hour just for themselves, not for distraction, not for escape, not for fleeting amusement, but for the work of becoming. 1 hour spent learning, 1 hour spent creating, 1 hour spent building a vision so vivid it pulls their heart forward. That hour, seemingly ordinary to anyone watching, is the quiet act that begins to tilt destiny in their favor, because destiny is not a matter of luck or coincidence. It is a living force that responds to the care, the attention, and the energy we give it. Every seed requires attention. Every dream requires cultivation. And every life, no matter how humble its beginning, can grow into greatness if the small, consistent acts are honored with devotion. That hour is the sunlight to the seed, the rain to the soil, the nurturing whisper that tells the seed it will grow tall. Without it, dreams remain seeds buried under doubt. Ambition lies dormant beneath procrastination, and potential fades into a quiet, unremarkable existence. But with that hour, with the sacred 60 minutes we commit to shaping ourselves, we begin to bend reality ever so slightly toward what we are capable of becoming. Picture the hours as threads in a vast tapestry. One thread left unused seems insignificant, barely noticeable. But 1 hour a day repeated over weeks, months, years weaves a pattern that becomes unmistakable, a design the universe cannot ignore. That hour is where strategy meets passion, where courage meets discipline, where intention meets action. It is the moment when our dreams are no longer fantasies whispered in the dark, but living possibilities that rise to meet us because we gave them space, nourishment, and belief. The people who accomplish great things are not those who waited for perfect conditions, who hoped for a miracle, who relied on chance. They are the ones who took the small hour, the overlooked hour, and made it a ritual. They understood that the seeds of destiny are planted not in grand gestures, but in the quiet consistency of daily dedication. 1 hour becomes the invisible bridge that carries them from the place they are to the place they are meant to arrive. And it is not always easy. The hour demands focus. It demands courage. It demands that we sit with ourselves when the world is loud, when our doubts are louder, when distractions whisper endlessly. It demands that we face our fear of failure, our fear of judgment, our fear of being insufficient. But it is exactly in this hour, this sacred, intentional hour, that the roots of our dreams dig deep, that the seedlings of our potential break through the soil, that the first signs of growth emerge, invisible to anyone else, but undeniable to our own hearts. 1 hour is the secret handshake between your present self and your future self. It is the promise that you are willing to honor the vision of your life even when it feels distant, even when the path is unclear, even when the world doubts your ability to rise. That hour bends destiny because it shows the universe that you are committed, that you are ready, that you are a gardener willing to nurture the seeds of possibility until they bloom. It teaches patience, it teaches discipline, it teaches that greatness is not sudden but cultivated, not demanded but earned. The beauty of this hour is that it compounds. 1 hour today may feel small, even insignificant. 1 hour tomorrow builds upon it. And soon, what was once a fragile seed becomes a mighty tree. The dreams you whispered to yourself in the darkness now cast shadows that others notice. The life you imagined, the purpose you envisioned, begins to reveal itself not as fantasy but as living reality. Every breakthrough, every success, every moment of triumph was first nurtured in 1 small hour that you chose to dedicate to growth, creation, and vision. This hour is also an act of faith. Faith not in chance, not in luck, not in waiting for the world to deliver what you deserve. Faith in yourself. Faith in the unseen, in the seeds that will grow when given attention, in the invisible threads connecting effort to destiny. Because the universe does not reward inaction. It does not bend toward laziness. It bends toward those who are willing to plant, water, and care for the seeds of their dreams even when the outcome is not yet visible. And that is the quiet miracle of the hour. So when the day feels heavy, when the noise of life seems to drown out your ambitions, when fear whispers that your dreams are too far, remember that 1 hour is enough to begin. 1 hour is enough to take the first step. 1 hour is enough to start bending the course of your life toward what you are meant to achieve. That hour is a seed. That hour is a promise. That hour is a revolution wrapped in 60 minutes of intentional devotion. And when you honor that hour, every morning, every evening, every time you choose growth over comfort, you will find your destiny leaning in, responding and gradually, beautifully, bending toward the life you were born to live. There comes a day when you look at your life and realize that most of it has been written for you by others. The expectations of society, the judgments of family, the opinions of friends, the weight of tradition. They all converge to create a story that feels like yours, but in truth, it is not. You were never meant to live someone else's script. You were never meant to follow the path laid out without question. And yet so many do day after day, quietly resigning themselves to a narrative they never chose. But there is a secret, a simple, almost invisible power that can change everything 1 hour each day. 1 hour dedicated entirely to your growth, your vision, your voice, and your courage. 1 hour is all it takes to start rewriting the story you thought you had to live. Imagine a person sitting alone in the quiet of their room, perhaps tired from the burdens of yesterday, perhaps anxious about the uncertainty of tomorrow. For a moment, they feel small, trapped by circumstances, limited by what they were told they could achieve, held back by the weight of others' expectations. But then they remember the hour. They remember that in 60 minutes they can create, reflect, plan, and imagine a version of life that belongs solely to them. And in that hour, the story begins to shift. The first words are written not on paper, but in the mind. The first lines are formed not with approval, but with courage. And suddenly, the person realizes that they are the author of their own life. 1 hour is not just time. 1 hour is rebellion against the ordinary. 1 hour is the defiance of limitation. 1 hour is a whisper to your soul that says you are more than what you have been told, more than what you have been forced to believe, more than the mistakes that once defined you. That hour becomes a sanctuary where you confront the illusions, the fears, and the doubts that have held you captive. And as you face them, you reclaim your voice. You reclaim your vision. You reclaim your right to live a story that is authentic, powerful, and unmistakably yours. Every action taken during that hour matters. Every thought, every plan, every small step becomes part of the narrative you are authoring. Reading a book that expands your mind, writing a goal that ignites your heart, practicing a skill that brings you closer to mastery, meditating on the person you want to become. Each act is a sentence, each effort a paragraph, each commitment a chapter. The story you thought you had to live slowly dissolves as a new story takes shape, one filled with intention, passion, and unwavering determination. And the beauty of this hour is that it is consistent. 1 hour may seem small to the world, but when taken day after day, week after week, it becomes monumental. It becomes the force that reshapes your habits, rewires your mindset, strengthens your resilience, and restores your faith in yourself. That hour is a sacred investment, the kind that pays dividends not just in success, but in clarity, purpose, and a life that feels like your own creation rather than someone else's expectation. Life will always offer distractions, obstacles, and excuses. There will be voices telling you that you are too tired, too old, too inexperienced, too broken, too insignificant. And if you listen, they will steal your narrative, rewrite your story for you, and leave you living a version of life that feels hollow. But the hour fights back. The hour reminds you that your story is yours, that you have the pen, that you have the power, that every minute you spend cultivating yourself is a minute the world cannot steal. And slowly, with each hour, the story bends to your will, shaping a life that once felt impossible into a life that is tangible, undeniable, and extraordinary. 1 hour each day also teaches you patience. It teaches you that change is not sudden, that greatness is not instant, and that rewriting your story is a process rather than a single dramatic event. It teaches you to honor the small victories, the tiny milestones, the invisible progress that accumulates until it becomes unstoppable. It reminds you that even the longest, most complicated story begins with one simple step, one committed hour, one choice to be present with your own growth and your own vision. And in that hour, you also reclaim your identity. You realize that you are not defined by past mistakes, the opinions of others, or the limitations imposed upon you. You realize that your life is a canvas waiting to be painted with your own colors, your own brushstrokes, your own imagination. Every minute spent intentionally reshaping your habits, your thoughts, your skills, and your dreams becomes a declaration: I am the author of my story. I am not waiting for permission. I am not following instructions. I am creating, designing, and building the life I choose to live. The story you once believed was fixed begins to dissolve. The doubts that once whispered that you were powerless fade into echoes. The fear that held you back becomes the fuel that propels you forward. And the person you see in the mirror each morning begins to recognize themselves not as a reflection of past failures or limitations, but as a hero in the making. 1 hour each day is not just time, it is transformation. It is liberation. It is the magic that allows you to step out of the narrative handed to you and step fully into the narrative you were meant to live. And so, even when life feels heavy, even when the world seems relentless, even when you feel too small to matter, remember that the pen is in your hands and the hour is in your control. 1 hour each day is enough to take the first step, to write the next sentence, to shape the chapter that will carry you forward. 1 hour each day can rebuild what was broken, illuminate what was hidden, and rewrite what was once believed permanent. That hour is your power, your sanctuary, your revolution, and your promise. The story you were told you had to live is no longer the story you must accept. With 1 hour each day, you are the author, the architect, and the hero of your own remarkable life. And now, my friends, the time has come to realize the truth that has been whispering to you all along. Every hour you have overlooked, every minute you have spent waiting for permission, every moment you have given to distraction instead of devotion has been waiting for you to remember that your life is yours to create. There is no one holding your pen, no one directing your path, no one controlling your heart except you. The hour is yours, the power is yours, the choice is yours. And in this truth lies the seed of everything you have ever dreamed of and more. Because here is what you must understand: greatness is not born in grand gestures, it is carved in quiet dedication. The most extraordinary people in history, the ones we revere, the ones whose names echo through time, were not made in a day, nor shaped by luck, nor favored by circumstances. They were forged in hours like these. Hours spent facing fear, hours spent battling doubt, hours spent walking toward the life they refused to settle for. They knew that the life you live tomorrow is the result of the small, intentional acts you honor today. And so I say to you, do not underestimate 1 hour. Do not discount 60 minutes. That single hour is the architect of your destiny, the bridge from your past to your potential, the seed from which your entire future grows. You may ask yourself, how can something so small wield so much power? The answer lies in understanding that consistency is the quiet revolution, the daily devotion is the true magic, and persistence is the heartbeat of success. Every step you take in that hour, every thought you challenge, every habit you rewrite, every fear you confront, is a thread in the fabric of your triumph. Those who say it cannot be done are not looking at the hours you are willing to give. Those who doubt your vision are not willing to bear the patience it requires. But you, the one who chooses to rise every day, to dedicate yourself to growth, to bend destiny with intention, you are the one who will witness miracles born not from chance, but from courage. Think of the heroes you admire. The inventors, the writers, the leaders, the visionaries. None of them waited for perfect timing. None of them relied on comfort or certainty. They dared to dedicate themselves to something greater, and they dared to show up day after day, even when the world was silent, even when failure threatened to consume them, even when doubt whispered cruelly. They understood that greatness is not a gift, it is a habit. It is the willingness to honor your own promise to yourself and to the life that is waiting for you beyond fear. And now it is your turn. Your hour is the key. Your hour is the spark. Your hour is the beginning of every victory you have ever imagined. 1 hour spent building, learning, reflecting, creating, healing, or dreaming is an hour spent declaring to the universe that you refuse to settle, that you refuse to remain small, that you will rise above the expectations, above the doubts, above the voices that tell you it is too late, because it is never too late. It is never too late to plant the seed, to bend destiny, to reclaim your power, to rewrite your story. Every great life is a testament to this truth. Every remarkable journey is proof that 1 hour, repeated, intentional, devoted, can move mountains. And so I urge you to see the beauty in this commitment, to feel the power in the discipline, to understand that you are the author of your life, the captain of your soul, the gardener of your destiny. Do not wait for inspiration. Do not wait for permission. Do not wait for the world to hand you miracles. Your miracles are already in your hands, quietly waiting, silently demanding, patiently calling you to take action. And every single day you choose to honor that call, every single day you choose to step into your hour, you are shaping a life so extraordinary that it will leave the world in awe. Remember, the hour is not just about work. It is about transformation. It is about becoming someone who cannot be shaken by setbacks, someone whose dreams are larger than their fears, someone who rises in the face of adversity and stands tall because they know the power they carry within. 1 hour is the whisper to your soul that says, I am worthy. 1 hour is the bridge between your pain and your power. 1 hour is the seed bending destiny toward your dreams. 1 hour rewrites the story you thought you had to live. And when you add day to day, hour to hour, you begin to see the life that once felt impossible bloom into reality. So rise and do not apologize for your ambition. Rise and do not fear the challenges ahead. Rise and dedicate yourself to the 1 hour that will forever change your life. Because the world may not notice your first steps, it may not honor your first victories, but your soul will know. Your future self will rise up and thank you. And one day, when you look back on the path you have walked, you will see that it was not luck, not chance, not circumstance, but the quiet, relentless power of 1 hour a day that moved mountains, crossed oceans, and turned dreams into destiny. And remember, as you take this hour, as you claim this time, as you plant this seed, the universe is listening. Your courage is heard. Your commitment is felt. Your persistence is seen. And in return, destiny bends, opportunities arise, doors open, and your life begins to unfold in ways more magnificent than you ever imagined. 1 hour is all it takes. 1 hour is your power. 1 hour is your revolution. 1 hour is your life, reborn, reimagined, unstoppable, and extraordinary. Rise, take the hour, and change everything.